Hi, welcome back to another episode of SEO On-Air. I'm your host Aaron, and today we have Robert Martinez, CEO of Braven Agency. We talk about why he started his journey, the importance of networking and partnerships, and how AI can help you. Hope you enjoyed this episode. How did you kind of get to where you are today, and what was the journey like?
The journey was fun. I would say I feel very blessed. I started with one thing in mind, one mission. How do I help others? And from that position, my career took very different turns, but always with that as a Northern Star. So I started in government, working for the Canadian Foreign Service. Prior to that, with the U.S. State Department. Prior to that, interning with a bunch of legislators and federal government. And my perception at that time was if I work for the government, I am by default helping serve the civil community that I'm a part of. I just didn't have the impact I wanted to have. And so I realized when I was down in Argentina, I was working for the Foreign Service, and the Minister of Finance pulls me to the side and says, first of all, you're not American. Second of all, you're Mexican American. Third of all, this is not how you create impact. You go, you make money, and then you philanthropically give it all away if you want, but you need to have capital. Governments rise and fall based on the economy, and you can help that. You can help a lot more people if you enter into business. And that was the first real thought of me becoming an entrepreneur and using my journey as a way of helping people in the professional sector. Yeah.
And were there any, let's say, moments where you thought this might not be right for me, or this now might not be the right path, or at least the
Uh,
methodology involved?
I mean, there's always difficult moments. I think it's it's the bell curve, or it's in a long enough timeline, you'll succeed. Uh, there's a very famous song, and that says it's not important to get there first, but it's important to get there. And that has always been my philosophy. I don't need to be the first one there, but I need to be resilient enough to make it through. And I think if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking at your journey as a business owner, as someone who started their own business, or trying to scale, you just need to wait through it and let the odds play out in your favor. So the longer you wait, the longer the odds will balance out. Just think about it as a bell curve.
I feel like a lot of people, when they do kind of start off, they all have that mindset where they need to be the first person to do something or the first business to, target a goal that no one else has thought of. But I think that kind of holds them back because they don't really actually get to that point. They're so busy trying to be the first one that they don't actually reach there. And we can talk about that and a little bit of burnout a little bit later. But I want to know more about you personally. When Braven kind of started out, did you think that that was going to be the trajectory path that you intended from helping the government and your community to now a digital agency?
No, no, not at all. I started the company because I was working with another company as a founder, and we were servicing the general market, and it was a great money making company. I would say it was very financially successful very early in its history. We were able to scale very quickly, uh, and I realized it wasn't really something that made me feel as if I was driving impact. And the other founder had, how would I say this in a polite way? There was discrepancies in the finances, and I did an amazing program at Stanford. It's called the Stanford Latino Business Action Network's Scaling Up program, and they have an exercise called Broken Windows, and that's when you talk to your team members, specifically people who are interacting with the customer, and you ask them questions like, "Hey, how's it going? What are you hearing? What's good? What's bad? How do we fix this?" And
Right.
the concept there is that you will get feedback from those folks who are touching the customer, and it'll be great feedback and insights. And I learned that there was financial discrepancies, so I pivoted and I started my own company.
Right.
So that's how
And
it started.
yeah, I didn't really think that it was that kind of story. Again, I did my research and this didn't really come up. But what were some of the things that you kind of learned from that experience? Like at least right in the beginning, the first couple of months.
Yeah, no one gets where they're at alone. You have to have a community behind you. You have to really lean into other people. One of my first clients with Stanford after I launched my new company, they said, "Hey, we believe in your mission. We think it's really brave of you to jump out and start your own company. Even if you have this other company, we'll be one of your first clients." And then my network of marketers and friends really rose their hand and said, "Hey, we'll help you with developing out your brand, developing out your website." And so you cobble together all these different uh, clients and friends that can help you launch the company. And so that was very inspirational, the buy-in at a very early part of the company. I had seed money, so it never helps to, have a lot of money to get your company started and not having to take out loans based on the other company. I exited that company with a certain amount of money and used that money to start my own company.
If you had to go back in time and meet your former self when you were starting out, are there any, let's say, words of wisdom that you would like to give?
Enjoy the process, lean into that process. It's not the destination, it's the journey. You meet amazing folks, bless you, and enjoy that process. I think that's a big piece of it. You're going to be working crazy hours. You should be that should be okay with you. Hard work should never be the question. You should
Right.
enjoy the work. A lot of my personal life has been affected because of my professional life. And I know every entrepreneur will say this, but you you kind of, that's your baby. That's what you're prioritizing in your life, and you're working 16, 17, 18 hours a day to get that baby stabilized and up. And so I enjoyed that, and I would rather do that than maybe personal things, like
Right.
starting a family. It's really hard to do both, or having a really deep relationship with your partner unless they're super understanding. They have to be
Right.
extremely understanding because you're spending a lot of hours. So having that understanding of, hey, I enjoy this, I like what I'm doing, and then it really hone in on that. One of my mentors told me you should know what you're running to, but you should also know what you're running from. And if you understand those two pieces, it's going to be easier.
I didn't actually think about that before. Know what you're running to, and then also know what you're running away from, because that
Yeah,
kind of gives you an idea of like, what exactly is all around you.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
were there again any moments where back then you thought, okay, listen, I can't do this digital marketing thing. I really need to go back and do something else. Like, were there moments where you doubted yourself?
Yes, yes. There's always moments of doubt. I think the challenge is, especially my niche
Right.
is the segment. Like, where do you live? Understanding as an entrepreneur, and we talked about being one of the first to market. The reason why it's so important is because you capture the market and then you can put barriers to entry. And so every business school student will know this. Anyone who's ever done any type of startup will say we have to capture the market. There's a huge first mover advantage when you enter the marketplace. So there's a lot of emphasis on that. And most consultants, McKinsey's of the world, and they'll tell you, anything that's saturated, there's an equilibrium in the marketplace and there's no value there. And so my positioning was, I understand that position. I thank you for that insight, but I believe
Right.
we're underserved in that space, and you could capture a segment of the market, and that was a big risk because it is definitely an underserved. The reason why is the value and the monetary value to servicing that segment is very, very low relative to your input. So you put in an hour worth of work in a Fortune 500 company, they pay you accordingly, thousand, $3, 5, $10,000 versus my segment, which is a small business segment, and they pay you 50, 100, $150. So it's a big discrepancy from those two pieces. And from my perspective, that was the risk. That was the huge risk. And there was many nights where if I didn't believe in the mission of I want to help small business, I want to help people like my parents, people like my aunts, people like my neighbors who have their little restaurant or their tiendas, little stores, then I wouldn't have gone through the first couple of years because it was very difficult to put in that
Right.
energy. Yeah.
So to kind of take a little bit from that and maybe make a hypothetical, if let's say I wanted to be like you and I want to be an entrepreneur and start a business and make it successful, But the only thing is that I've just read a whole bunch of books. I have zero actual practical knowledge. What are, let's say, three things that I would need to know right off the bat, besides enjoying the process, of course?
Yeah, capital. I mean, everyone will tell you capital is key. Understanding your capital, understanding your ideal customer. Like, what's your customer that you're going after? Is there a niche there? Uh, I say that there is value in doing the market assessment. I hate SWOT analysis. I wouldn't say do a SWOT analysis, but I would say, are you talking to that prospective customer? And are they nodding their heads when you're talking about your product or your service? I think that's the most important piece of it. And then the third piece is having a network. The network is indispensable. It's really what's going to sustain you for the first year and a half, maybe two. It's and then in VC jargon, it's your three P's, your three F's: friends, families, and fools that are going to finance you. But it's the same thing for a startup. You're leveraging your friends and your family to really sustain your business, to drive, to refer over customers, to give you that additional either capital or customer base.
Right. And let's say I kind of take those three things into account. I get enough capital, I do my research, I have a bit of networking involved as well. Would you say there's a little bit of luck involved as well, or is it all just very hard work and effort?
I mean, you guys should read The Black Swan. There's a Talib is an amazing writer. He really understands that 90% of this is luck. It's right place, right time to capture the market, to be in the right place, and then leveraging those opportunities, those moonshots, and leveraging those global experiences that happen once in a generation to succeed. For example, COVID, a lot of folks became very, very rich, very, very successful during this time. No one would have thought that, or during a recession. Same thing. If you have capital on hand, you really buy a lot of discounted solutions and property. There's just ways to make money during these difficult times. So it's a lot of luck. And so what you want to do is deleverage that luck. You don't want to be lucky. You want to create systems and processes that allow for you to not be only lucky. Like, okay, assuming luck is out of the question, what kind of life and what kind of work and what kind of business do I need to set up? Where if I ran this experiment 100 times, 1,000 times, I succeed 90% of the time, 99% of the time. That's the goal, really. Yeah.
Right. So luck does play a little bit of a role, but I think the way
Huge.
to kind of the way to kind of fully succeed is to kind of understand how it works and create a system around it.
Correct. It's processes, it's understanding if I repeat this process 100 times, I succeed 90% of the times. That's going to help you. Even then, you'll need luck.
Right. So then let's go on to Braven, the agency then. So when it comes to that, one is what are some of the services that are offered there? And two, what is the kind of goal for you as a service provider?
We started with small business in mind. How do we help our small business become tech enabled to scale? That was the whole mission. Okay, let's figure out what solutions are needed for these businesses to be competitive. In the very early part of our history, there was a lot around digital connectivity and the digital divide and answering that question. And so we felt if we created a set of solutions around digitizing the business, we can really scale and grow. And there's really two levers you can pull for any business is revenue and customer and retention. So you have to bring in people into your door. So you do that through attracting customers, retaining those customers. And if you do those two things very well, then you'll grow and you'll scale. And so what kind of tech solutions can we create for the small business to allow them to drive revenue, retain customers?
Right.
And so it's everything digital. It could be websites, it could be paid ads, it could be SEO, it could be marketing, it could be blogging, content creation, video creation, and then we jumped into the software space because we needed to track that success. There's great analytical tools out there like Google Analytics, Google Search Console, SEMrush. There's just a lot of analytical tools, but what we felt if we bring that together in one CRM tool that allows us to track for all of it, can we figure out which tools, i.e. which product lines, digital product lines, each industry needs to grow and scale, and that's a differentiator. So yeah, that's where we started, And what we realized is there's a lot of corporate partners and foundational partners that want to work with us to help out the small businesses. So we ended up capturing a market that was adjacent to the small business market without knowing there was a need there.
Right. And we can probably go a little bit more deeper into this. But one other question that I had to ask is when it comes to small businesses that you help out, is there any one in particular that's kind of common? Like an example, basically.
Yeah. No, the easiest one from our standpoint is e-commerce. That's the holy grail for us because when you capture a client that's e-commerce, it's very easy to track the analytics of the business. And so you could just draw a direct line between your marketing campaign, your digital marketing campaign, and revenue. And that's what you want to do. You want to show value. You gave us X amount of dollars. We drove Y amount of dollars. Therefore, you should keep us, and if anything, keep giving us more money because we're going to keep doing this. We had a company that we were able to bring in $100,000 in revenue within 2 weeks. And so that makes it really easy conversation for us to talk to the client. Like, hey, like this is what we did.
Right.
Service industries are a little bit more difficult to track success. So you have to use multiple metrics and there's only so much you can do. You could drive in leads as opposed to sales. And you could tell them, hey, based on our analytical tool, we drove, 100 calls this past month for you. It's up to you to close those calls, but 100 calls, even at a 3% closing rate, and your average customer is worth, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, you made a pretty penny. So you try to use LTVs, lifetime value of customers, and other metrics to justify your existence for that client.
Right. So to kind of play around with a little hypothetical, if I was an e-commerce company and I came to Braven for some help, do you mind walking me through the process of how exactly you would help me out?
Yeah. So we do a needs assessment. Everyone talks about pain points and identifying pain points. It depends how sophisticated the customer is. But if he or she's able to identify their pain point as a business, it makes it really easy for us to understand what they need. And so what you try to do is you try to listen to what their needs are, and then you'll very quickly understand that their perceived needs and what they actually need is not aligned. So, they might want social media or branding, and you're just like, that's not going to help you drive revenue. But we know that's what you feel is your need. And so we do that assessment. We have an assessment tool that allows us to identify the need of the prospective customer, give them that report after we talk to them for 30 minutes and they fill out the survey. And that guides us into the proposal that they would need to grow their sales in 1 month to 3 months. And so that's the model. We have the sales rep bring them in. We have a customer rep give them a report and walk them through their needs assessment with a proposal in hand that shows them where it's your pain point, what's your desire. Like here's what your pain point is to drive sales, but which we could fix. But you're also asking for these other things that you want. You'll get both if you do this model and you move forward.
Right. And you don't have to answer this question because it might be too, let's say, revealing, but what are your, let's say, best type of clients and the worst type of clients? You don't have to drop
Yeah,
names, it's okay.
no, no, I don't necessarily think there's worse type of clients. There's difficult clients, and it's clients that they tend to believe they have a perception of what you are that's not aligned with who you are, and that happens very, very early in the relationship. It's like you're dating, so you have to set your boundaries right away, or else people will take advantage of you. And I think sometimes our account managers have difficulty putting boundaries in our clients, especially if they're larger clients and when we mean larger clients that are a big part of our revenue stream, and creating boundaries is really difficult. So it's just managing those expectations, understanding how to communicate with them. I think communication is probably the most important thing in any kind of service-based industry. You guys do an excellent job at this. You guys are able to communicate value and trust very quickly to
Right.
get folks to use your services, trust your services, and invite them to speak and tell them about their business. Same premise applies for good and bad clients. It's having that relationship where they trust you and building that trust very quickly.
Right. Because I feel like sometimes when a client is not going to be the most easiest to work with, but then you see the fat check that they might have with them, and you're like, maybe I can work it out and take it care of it. But I want to know from your end
Yeah.
itself, how do you draw that line to be like, hey, listen, this is a boundary and we need you to respect that?
You do that in the very beginning of the relationship that you have with them. We work very diligently not to take clients on that we feel aren't in line with our mission and vision. So if you lean on I mean, a lot of people just create the mission and vision and then kind of, okay, well, we check next. But it's listening to your team, listening to them saying, hey, this is not a good client. They're scope creeping every single meeting we have. Um, and understanding that. So usually what ends up happening, it escalates to the principals of the company and or founder, and then we have to interject and say, hey, we appreciate this, that your contract's coming to an end at this juncture. We're not going to renew. And we've done that before. We've done that with some large clients, large checks, where we're just like, we're not renewing. Um,
Right.
you have to trust your team.
Yeah, I think sometimes having that integrity is a lot more valuable than that the fat check that could come with it.
People over money every day, all day. I've gone through many leadership programs, and the one thing I walk away with every single time I do the leadership, besides the financials and understanding your financials, is you've got to build capacity with your team. You have to invest in your team. You have to listen to your team. And if you do that over and over and over again, your company will grow. I think that's a big one. That's probably the biggest one that I walk away with whenever I do any type of leadership course. Is invest
Right.
into your team.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I heard was that you shouldn't be investing in the numbers. Like you shouldn't be considering your employees as just numbers. You should be investing in the actual people of the company.
Oh
So
yeah,
can we go back to that question then? So when it comes to that time when people feel like they have to get to whatever they need to first and not really actually get there, it kind of builds this hustle culture around them, and they kind of push themselves to a point where they might burn out. Did I think this might be a two-part question, but one, did you ever find yourself getting into burnout, and how did you kind of get out of it? And two, is there a way to get to where you are without burning out?
burnout is real. I have a very healthy obsession. You have to be obsessed. So it's weird. I don't see it as it's a part of who I am, and I enjoy it. So there is burnout regardless if you enjoy it. I think you manage yourself and you've got to a point where you understand what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy. And so what I try to do is try to align everything where uh, I don't feel like it's work and it feels as if I'm working with friends.
Right.
When you're back in uni and you're working till 2, 3 o'clock to finish your projects, it's work because you have to finish this project, but you're enjoying the process with your friends working through these projects. That's how it feels like to me. But now I can't speak to my employees and to my
Right.
team members. They might not feel like that. So I have to make sure that they are comfortable with that because I might not be comfortable. The other piece that's a huge piece that one of my mentors told me very like 7 years ago that really changed the way I look at things is you have to, before the year starts, take vacation. Just do it. Like, don't think about it. Put a flag in the sand and say, "These, I'm going to take 2 weeks off, and that's it." And then maybe another 3, 4 months pass, and then you take another week off. And you just do it beforehand because if you're doing it while you're working, there's always going to be competing events, projects, programs, clients that you're like, oh, now I can't take vacation. But if you do it before you even starts, it kind of holds you accountable and that helps you not burn out and you become a lot more productive. There's something to be said about just having time, like just having time to think. It's one of the most recent tools that I've learned where just stepping away from the business and just taking 2 or 3 days not doing anything. You could meditate, you could go hiking, whatever it is, and just letting your mind wander, that is a game changer because so many more synopsises click as you're going through this process because it gives your brain time to kind of consolidate all the data that's coming in and make sense of it subconsciously. I mean, it's one of the tools that I've always used when I have a big challenge or big problem or big campaign that I don't know how to attack or target. I make the problem statement. I just set it in my back of my mind. Okay, it's there. And I go on with my day. I go on with my week. And your
Right.
subconscious is working through it constantly. And by day 3, day 4, I have a solution to the problem. So letting go is really big. So you have to do it. And that helps you not burn out.
From the, let's say, CEO point of view or the C-level people, from that side to bring it for employees to do, is that something that can still be done? Because I'm not too sure how many employees can take a 2 3 week leave.
Oh yeah, listen, we have a policy they can take as much time as they want. Eh,
Right.
you just have to backfill the position. So from our standpoint, they get a certain amount of paid PTO, and then they get unlimited time off. But the company would not work if they weren't mission driven themselves. So again, culture, people, that all that, those three C's, that all matters. It's hiring the person that believes in the mission is more important than hiring the talent that knows how to do the work. I could teach you how to do paid ads. I could teach you how to do SEO. I
Right.
cannot teach you the desire to want to help people. That's impossible. You either have it or you don't. That either fires you up or it doesn't. And
Okay.
and I hire for that.
Is there a specific way to find people like that, or
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind
I
of you see
mean,
the twinkle in the eye and you're like, yeah, we got him.
no, no. This is, I mean, this is like a 10-year-old book, but there's a very popular book in HR called Top Graders. That's
Okay.
like a system we first learned how to rank employees, and yeah, you just you have your own proprietary metrics of what you're hiring for, and them being mission driven and mission aligned is one big one. And how, what kind of experiences do they bring to the table? Do they actually like helping people? Do they have service background in their CV resume? Those little things make a big deal. Like, what are you doing your day off? Oh, I like volunteer. Like all those little things signal to you what kind of person you want to work with.
So kind
Yeah.
of leading into the last leg of these questions, you kind of did bring it up as well. Braven's tools that you kind of offer.
Yeah.
I think one of them is Smarts. You kind of mentioned another one as well, right?
Yes. So our proprietary tool is called Smarts, and it's a CRM success tracking tool. Any business that wants to track the impact of their marketing can use this tool. We just launched AI Creative Studios that allows small businesses to be able to leverage AI without needing to buy individual packets of all the AI tools. We have an amazing team of creatives. And so if you want to scale your content creation without breaking the bank, that's a great solution that we provide. And then we do another one that's related to Smarts, which is the business assessment tool that allows you to identify your gaps and your opportunities and your pain points in a matter of 30 minutes. So
And
really cool tools. And then we give you a list of marketing tactics that you can take. You could use our services. You could use another marketing agency services. It doesn't matter to us as long as you're moving the ball forward and growing and scaling. So lots of great tools here if you guys want to work together.
so with these tools, and just for fun, if we had to put them up against ChatGPT and the other common AI tools, how much would it blow it out of the water?
So right, so ChatGPT is a tool that I absolutely love, and I love Gemini even more. I think for me, Gemini is, the more I'm learning about it, the more I am geeked out about its capabilities. But it's copy, right? It's prompt writing for copy, which is great. Copy is important, but as we all know, uh, video and content over index, whatever you want to call it, higher impressions, higher click through rates, higher everything. And so, yes, write great copy, write great content, leverage the heck out of those prompt writing tools. But I guarantee if I put a video up against that copy, no one's going to like read that paragraph that you have. Everyone's going to click on that video I created through AI.
So the tools that you guys have at least are, I would say, a little bit a step higher than, let's say, just ChatGPT in general, but more specific in business needs.
It's all around creative content. It's all around. So you need ChatGPT to write the copy if you want to think about it that way. But we want to create visual elements, graphic design elements, video elements that drive clicks. So a concrete example is if you are a pottery company or a jacket, you create jackets and clotheslines, we can leverage the AI functionalities and tools to create really catchy videos, really catchy images that drive sales so that when you're running your ads on TikTok or on Instagram or on Google, that ad is going to definitely drive clicks and it's definitely going to drive people to your website to convert. And on your website, we're going to add videos and images and content that's really engaging, that's going to be able to convert at a higher rate than
Right.
your stereotypical. design elements. And that's the AI functionality there.
I was going to ask, when did this tool start its development? Like, when did you kind of
Last
come up with
year,
the idea for it?
yeah, so we were very lucky to work with amazing partners on the regional and state level, where we get a huge sample size of small businesses, and we're talking in the hundreds. And so we were able to test out new product lines. And they're the ones that are like, oh, this is great. Oh, this isn't great. Oh, this really drove engagement. Oh, this doesn't really drive engagement. That's one of the cool things about an agency. You could definitely leverage the experience that you're having with those businesses to understand what's going to work, what's not going to work, and what tools they need as an indication of future clients and understanding, oh, they're going to need these tools because we have a sample of 500 businesses that use this tool and we saw an increase of 15% in revenue. So if we offer just that tool to clients in that industry, we'll see our growth in sales. And so it makes it very easy for us to kind of see over the horizon and identify what solutions are needed. The challenge is always having a large enough speaker so that you can capture as much of the market as possible.
Right. But I think all in good time, right? Like, if it's only been a year, I guess, right?
It's been 4 months.
Oh, okay. Well, then all in good time. You got a couple months more, and then it should kind of like pick up.
Oh, it's already picking up. It's the biggest challenge that we're having is pricing it properly in the marketplace.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to lose value, but you don't want to price your clients out of the value that you can provide. So it's
Yeah.
like managing that. It's a problem. It's a good problem to have.
Right. I mean, I can imagine we can talk about it all over again. Like, that's another podcast segment, how to accurately price your products.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
but is there anything else in the future developments for your for Braven's AI tools, or just tools in general?
Yeah, you know what? We're building depth, not width. So we're really doubling down. What we realized as well is that if we create programming around our small business community, that's a whole other industry and space that we're stumbling into because we realized that a lot of folks don't know how to draw and pull from different service offerings and different industries. So, for example, on the service industry, you can really create a holistic 360 omni-channel marketing, all these buzzwords. Let's just get to it. If you identify the key tools, key ways to implement it, and maybe provide some technical assistance around that, you can really scale a lot of businesses very quickly. And that's exciting from our standpoint because we can create a program around this is the tools that we need to scale this specific industry in their life cycle. And we can identify where they're at in their life cycle. And then we could just sell the program like, hey, city of X or county of Y, or hey, corporate entity, you want to give solutions that's going to scale businesses in your sector, give them this. And that has gone very well for us. It's been very, very impactful to see that growth. And so that is something that we're pivoting towards. It's just headcount now. It's just identifying the right team players that can run that type of program for us.
So, can you give a summary of the entire podcast in a 2 minute plug or 2 minute elevator pitch?
Yes,
Basically, this is
happy to
just
do
for
it.
you to like take your time and just enjoy yourself, I guess.
No, thank you, Aaron. Well, it was a pleasure and a privilege to be part of this amazing podcast with Stan Ventures to discuss what it takes to be an entrepreneur, how do you scale your business once you're in the marketplace, and how to identify your niche once you're in that marketplace, making sure you have another light to run towards to, but also making sure you understand where you're coming from and why you're moving that direction. And then lastly, we had a great opportunity to discuss a little bit about Braven Agency and what makes us unique and distinct, which is being able to service small businesses, enable them with technology, including AI for scale, for sale, and for growth. And then lastly, we kind of touched a little bit on some content around podcasting books that we felt really helped the entrepreneur in their journey for growth. And I think with that, I appreciate you guys making time, and I look forward to coming in the future talking about other tools and services where we can work together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll probably ask you again to come for the fourth season, and if you're free, we'll definitely set that up.
That'd be great.
Where can people find you and Braven?
Yeah, they could follow me on LinkedIn. Rob the Marketer, Twitter, Rob the Marketer, Instagram, Roberto M. Braven, Roberto M. Braven. If you guys want to follow us on our website, bravenagency.com. Creative Studios AI is our other website, and then smarts.co is our third company. And so make sure to follow us, drop a hint, drop a like. If you guys want to partner and work together, if you're a city manager trying to develop programming for your small business, reach out to us. We work with great partners, including Google, City of LA, County of LA, multiple foundations to create programs for small business. Or if you're just a small business entrepreneur that's trying to get ahead of the curve, reach out to us. Happy to help.
But thank you, Roberto, for the conversation. I've learned a lot about you and Braven and pretty much how to start my own business if I needed to. I think my mission now for the next year till we have you on again is to make it to the top 3 podcasts in your list. And I think from there we can have you again on the 4th season probably.
Sounds great.
Thanks for watching that episode. I hope you enjoyed. For more videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe.